In the bustling streets of Moscow, where the winter snow blankets the city like a forgotten dream, a young mechanic named Alexei wiped the grease from his hands, staring at his reflection in a cracked garage mirror. Little did he know, this ordinary evening would shatter his world in the most unexpected way. What started as a cruel prank by his so-called friends would unravel into a tale of love, redemption, and the unbreakable spirit of the human heart. If you're hooked already, smash that like button and subscribe for more heartwarming stories that remind us love can bloom in the unlikeliest places. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Alexei Petrov was a 28-year-old man who had spent most of his life under the hood of cars, fixing what others had broken. Born in a small village outside St. Petersburg, he moved to Moscow at 18, chasing dreams of a better life. But reality hit hard. His parents had passed away young, leaving him to fend for himself. He worked at a rundown auto shop in the industrial district, earning just enough to pay for his tiny apartment and the occasional bowl of borscht. Alexei was quiet, with calloused hands that told stories of endless labor, and eyes that held a quiet sadness. He wasn't poor in spirit, but his wallet was always empty, and his social circle? Well, it consisted of a few rowdy co-workers who loved to joke at his expense. One chilly Friday evening in December, as the city lights flickered against the falling snow, Alexei's co-workers, Dmitry, Sergei, and Ivan, gathered around the garage workbench, laughing over bottles of cheap vodka. "Hey, Alexei," Dmitry called out with a sly grin, "we've got a surprise for you. A blind date. This girl's a real catch. Rich, beautiful, the whole package." Alexei raised an eyebrow, suspicious. He hadn't dated in years. His last relationship ended when his ex couldn't handle his long hours and modest life. But the guys insisted, saying they'd set it up through a mutual friend. "Come on, live a little." Sergei slapped him on the back. What Alexei didn't know was that this was all a prank. The girl was Elena Kuznetsova, the 22-year-old daughter of Viktor Kuznetsov, the CEO of one of Russia's largest oil companies. Dmitry had overheard Elena's friends talking about her at a bar, how she was single, rebellious, and always turning down suitors from her father's elite circle. The plan? Set up the date at a fancy restaurant, watch Alexei squirm in his worn-out jeans, and laugh when Elena rejected him harshly. It was meant to be harmless fun, or so they thought. Elena, on the other hand, was everything Alexei wasn't. At 22, she was a vibrant force of nature, with long auburn hair that cascaded like autumn leaves and eyes as blue as the Volga River. Growing up in luxury, in a sprawling mansion on the outskirts of Moscow, she'd attended the best schools, traveled the world, and was studying art history at Moscow State University. But beneath the glamour, Elena felt trapped. Her father, Viktor, was a stern man, obsessed with status and business deals. He paraded her in front of potential husbands from wealthy families, treating her like a chess piece in his empire-building game. Elena craved authenticity, someone who saw her for who she was, not what she represented. Her friends, knowing her frustrations, had jokingly suggested a blind date with a mystery guy to shake things up. Little did she know the setup was a farce. The date was set at Le Blanc, a upscale French restaurant in the heart of the city, where crystal chandeliers hung like frozen stars and the menu prices could buy a month's rent for Alexei. He arrived early, nervously adjusting his only button-up shirt, which was slightly frayed at the cuffs. Snowflakes melted on his shoulders as he waited at the bar, sipping water to avoid the exorbitant drink prices. Elena walked in moments later, wrapped in an elegant fur coat, her heels clicking against the marble floor. She scanned the room, spotting Alexei immediately. He stood out like a smudge on a polished canvas. But instead of disdain, curiosity sparked in her eyes. "You must be Alexei," she said with a warm smile, extending her hand. He shook it gently, his rough palm contrasting her soft one. "Elena," she introduced herself, and in that moment, the prank began to unravel in ways no one anticipated. As they sat down, Alexei felt out of place, fumbling with the menu. "I don't come to places like this often," he admitted, his cheeks flushing. Elena laughed lightly, not mockingly, but genuinely. Neither do I, honestly. My father drags me to these spots for networking. I'd rather be at a cozy cafe with Pelmani. Her honesty disarmed him. They talked, really talked. Alexei shared stories of his village childhood, how he'd fix tractors for farmers and dream of building his own car someday. Elena opened up about her passion for painting, how she sneaked away to sketch the Moscow streets at dawn, away from her father's watchful eye. The conversation flowed like the Moskva River after a thaw, natural and unforced. But lurking in the shadows were Dmitri and the others, peeking from a nearby table, stifling giggles as they waited for the punchline. The prank's turning point came when the waiter brought the bill. Alexei glanced at it and paled. It was more than his weekly wage. I can cover it, he stammered, pulling out his wallet with trembling hands. Elena noticed his discomfort and placed her hand on his. No, let me, she said softly. But before she could, Dmitri burst out laughing, approaching the table with Sergei and Ivan in tow. Gotcha, Alexei. This was all a setup, the poor mechanic with the CEO's daughter. Hilarious, right? The restaurant fell silent as heads turned. Alexei's face crumpled in humiliation. He stood to leave, muttering apologies. Elena's eyes flashed with anger. A prank? You think this is funny? She turned to Alexei, who was already heading for the door. Wait, she called, grabbing her coat. Outside, in the swirling snow, Elena caught up to him. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Alexei stopped, his breath visible in the cold air. Why would someone like you even talk to me? I'm just a mechanic. Tears welled in his eyes, not from the cold, but from years of feeling invisible. Elena stepped closer, her voice steady. Because I like you, Alexei. You're real. Not like the fake suitors my father pushes on me. Those words hung in the air like a promise. In that moment, amidst the prank's wreckage, a genuine connection sparked. But challenges loomed. How could a poor mechanic and a CEO's daughter bridge their worlds? The days following were a whirlwind for Alexei. He returned to the garage, avoiding his co-workers' awkward apologies. Dmitri tried to make amends with a bottle of vodka, but Alexei waved it off. You thought it was funny to humiliate me? We're done. The prank had exposed the toxicity in his friendships, forcing him to confront his isolation. Meanwhile, Elena faced her own storm at home. When Victor learned of the date, through a gossiping friend, he exploded. A mechanic? Elena, you're meant for better. I'll cut off your allowance if you see him again. Elena stood her ground, her rebellious spirit ignited. Papa, you can't control my heart. I've spent my life in your shadow, let me choose for once. Their argument echoed through the mansion, revealing deep-seated resentments. Victor, a widower since Elena was a child, had buried his grief in work, neglecting her emotional needs. This confrontation became the first crack in their strained relationship. Despite the obstacles, Alexei and Elena began seeing each other in secret. They'd meet at hidden spots, a quiet park by the river, where they'd share picnics of simple rye bread and cheese, or a small art gallery where Elena taught him about Impressionism. Alexei opened up about his dreams. I want to open my own shop someday, fix cars for people who can't afford big chains. Elena encouraged him, sketching designs for his future garage. Their bond deepened with emotional intimacy. One night, under the stars, Alexei confessed his fears of never being enough. I'm scared I'll drag you down. Elena cupped his face. You lift me up, Alexei. With you, I feel free. But secrecy bred tension. Elena lied to her father, and Alexei worried about the inevitable fallout. The first major challenge came when Victor's private investigator uncovered their meetings. He confronted Elena in a heated family dinner, slamming photos on the table. This ends now. He's using you for money. Elena's eyes filled with tears. No, Papa. I love him. The word love stunned Victor, he hadn't heard it since his wife's passing. In a fit of rage, he forbade her from leaving the house, grounding her like a child. Elena felt trapped, her independence stripped away. Meanwhile, Alexei faced sabotage at work. Dmitry, jealous of the attention, spread rumors that Alexei was slacking, leading to a warning from the boss. Broke and heartbroken, Alexei considered leaving Moscow. Maybe they're right, I'm not good enough, he confided in his only true friend, an old mechanic mentor named Boris. Boris, a grizzled veteran with a heart of gold, advised him, "Son, love isn't about money or status. It's about fighting for what's real. Go to her." Inspired, Alexei gathered his courage and showed up at the Kuznetsov mansion one stormy night. Soaked from the rain, he pounded on the gate until Victor himself answered. "Sir, I love your daughter. Not for her wealth, but for her soul." Victor, expecting arrogance, was met with sincerity. Elena, hearing the commotion, rushed out. The three stood in the downpour, emotions raw. Victor challenged Alexei, "Prove you're worthy. Fix my vintage Mercedes, it's been broken for years. If you can, maybe I'll listen." It was a test, laced with skepticism. Alexei poured his soul into the repair, working tirelessly in Victor's garage. Days turned into nights as he diagnosed the engine's issues, a rare part failure that required ingenuity. Elena sneaked tools and encouragement, their stolen moments fueling his determination. When he finally revved the engine to life, Victor watched in awe. "How did you?" Alexei smiled humbly. "It's what I do." In that victory, Victor saw echoes of his own humble beginnings. He'd started as a laborer before building his empire. Softening, he invited Alexei inside. Over tea, they talked. Victor shared his regrets, how success had cost him family time. Alexei listened, offering quiet wisdom. Elena watched, her heart swelling. Resolution came gradually. Victor didn't fully approve at first, but he relented, allowing them to date openly. Alexei's co-workers, shamed by their actions, made amends. Dmitry even helped fund Alexei's dream garage with a small loan. Challenges persisted, society whispered about the mismatch, and Elena faced judgmental friends, but their love grew stronger. They navigated cultural divides. Alexei introduced her to folk festivals in his village, where they danced under lanterns, and Elena showed him the ballet, where he marveled at the grace. Months later, on a crisp spring day, Alexei proposed by the river, with a simple ring he'd saved for. "Elena, you saw me when no one else did." She said yes, tears streaming. Their wedding was modest, blending worlds. Victor's influence added elegance, but Alexei's roots brought warmth. Victor walked Elena down the aisle, whispering, "I'm proud of you both." Years passed, and their story became legend in Moscow circles. Alexei's garage thrived, employing underprivileged youth. Elena opened an art studio, inspiring others. They had a daughter, teaching her that true wealth is in the heart. Through it all, they faced life's ups and downs, financial strains, health scares, but their bond endured. And so, dear viewers, remember, love doesn't care about pranks or pedigrees. It finds you when you least expect it, teaching us to look beyond surfaces. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We've got more tales of triumph waiting. What's your story of unexpected love? Share in the comments below.